Lyrical lines from the gates of the dawn. New routes to the Elysian experience. Bill the Quill.
There will be times devices tire your nerves and fail to please. Then kindle warm inviting fire beneath the mantelpiece. To Inglenook now do retire, to rest in state of ease. This little book, should you desire, is best for days like these.
Dedication to M.M. Life's sweet river dried up so damn close to the sea, you sat down and you turned into stone. Now your work among mortals is done and you're free, for Apollo has taken you home. Though you didn't quite make it, but came so damn near to assistance and safety and shade, still you made it instead, this I say without fear, to the hallowed Asclepian glade. There to sit at the feast, at the honoured right hand of Hippocrates and all the rest, O adventurous man, an adventure more grand speeds you on to the Isles of the Blest. Springheel Stan. Now Springheel Stan, as a younger man, once heard about the 5-2 diet, and then this lad, who liked a good fad, decided that he'd like to try it. At 8:30 in the fasted state, as oft as young Stan was able, with headphones in to the happy trance din, he sprang around the kitchen table. Yes, Springheel Stan was a dancing man, deep raving in the bright new morn. He gleefully sprang with great elan, but it left the fellow rather outworn. Footsore and apt to take a nap, his limbs became quite weary, and yet the memory grand was still to hand. He'd smile without a shade of regret. Then 2 days' rest in an oakwood chest, and up this happy prancer would spring, renewed, reborn, Jack Barleycorn, that legendary summertime king. Hormetic stress brought out the best in Stan, this brought rejuvenation. He'd celebrate in the fasted state at dawn, a magic combination. When swept up by the trance-dance high, he quieted his chattering mind. It bounced right back when there came the last track, but refreshed and renewed and refined. And Stanley found this in-between ground when his thought trains began to restart, fine interface, a creative space for fanning inspiration's spark. First from his quill did freely spill free verse in quite unregulated time, but in a while he'd changed his style as he fell into a life of rhyme. A friend suggests a palimpsest, and so this very booklet was born. For your dilection, the first collection of lyrics from the gates of the dawn. Then Springheel Stan made a cunning plan for a pen name that he would assume. It was Stanley's will that Bill the Quill be le nom of his literary plume. Springheel Stan Postscript 1, like Geoffrey capes. But when there came the colder season, Stan could see no real reason why to fast, but kept him fit and strong. Becoming quite the meaty hulk, he packed on extra layers of bulk that then would last him all the summer long. A bit like mighty Geoffrey capes, that greatest king of all the apes, who stood at 6'5" when in his socks, and started each and every day with 13 bowls of creme brulee, topped off with several trays of mushroom crocks. I wonder if you got that ref. You must remember mighty Jeff, big chap, less like a man than like a bear. I'm sure you've seen him pull a bus with very minimum of fuss, or lift a heavy fridge into the air. And so you see, for Stan this fasting was a warmer season thing, for fasts leave less resource to fight a cold. But now, becoming strong of limb will mean that, come at last the spring, your joyous dawn-fast dance is yet more bold. Springheel Stan Postscript 2, Alfresco Space. And come sweet summertime, with sentiments sublime, he'd beg his kitchen's pardon, and swap it for the garden. He'd open up the door, regard the sky with awe,
Then in alfresco space, with dancers' fingers trace, like patterns in the sky, and watched the swallows fly, and oft as he was able, sprang round the garden table. A massive grateful feeling now kind of left him reeling. He felt a sense of wow, to see a blossomed bough, and almost fell to kneeling, to worship nature's greening. And when the dance was over,
he'd lie upon the clover, with beat no longer pounding. The time had come for grounding, and gentler sounds he heard of many a songful bird ensconced within a tree, and buzzing of a bee, which lulled him towards doze, the proper way to close. SoundSoup is not so far. The other side of Hungary, not far, just 2 meals missed, there is a whirling vibraphone, it lifts you while you list. The other side of Hungary, not far, just down the lane, you're rising in a vibrant swirl up to a higher plane. The other side of Hungary, sat sipping herbal tea, you're blissing out to yoga dub, unfolding, furling free. The other side of Hungary, your belly is a drum, resounding down into the earth where oak and ash roots hum.
The other side of Hungary, there through the leafy gate, you're dancing with the elven folk who live to celebrate. They sit with you in circle and they sup a soup of sound, so sip your sup and take the cup and smiling pass it round. A little further down the lane, not far, just one night past, you wake and drink the roasted bean, and soon you're raving fast. You're magic, you're invincible, you're grateful and amazed. You're dancing in the rising sun, expression trancing glazed, a rising shoot, a dewy frond upon a glistening lawn.
You shiver mid your sparkling drops all in the glowing dawn. The other side of Hungary, not far, just through the mist, there is a whirling vibraphone, it lifts you while you twist. SoundSoup Part 2, Flight to the Dub.
No, you shouldn't be here and you shouldn't be there. You're supposed to be spinning around in the air, for dull hunger has passed now. Space dub is your doorway. You shouldn't be mumbling around on the floor. Nay, your chariot pumpkin of sound now awaits. So climb in and ascend through the hellebore gates by teal butterfly steeds drawn through curtains of green, spun from thistle down, laced with a fossil balm sheen. You will reach a right speed through the willowy fronds as the butterflies gallop across blue lotus ponds. How they champ at the bit with a crotchety foam, but make barely a quaver through all of the gloom. See the quabbles all wave as you speed through the air. Well, hello there, dear traveller, from whence do you fare? You must answer in riddle and rhyme, if at all, for the quabbles are fussy and bossy and small, and they wivel unchibly at scunnish mistakes. As for what you'll encounter beyond those blue lakes, it's beyond my expression, but it may include, well, that is to say, parts of it partly exude a certain something, but I cannot say what. But it won't be somewhere where the somethings are not. That is all I may say. May your travel be fair as you leave off your mumbling and spin through the air.
Now, I mentioned the quabbles are bossy and short, but I meant no offence to them of any sort. Yes, it seems a divisive, derisory jibe, but the quabbles themselves do themselves thus describe. Yes, they call it a compliment, truly they do. It's just different for them than for me or for you. English Ode Postscript, the mystery of the Grail. In Avalon, beyond the worldly veil, you may behold the mystery of the Grail, an ancient silver platter deep and wide, fair wrought with nymphs and satyrs on the side, cavorting in some primal heathen glade, with Bacchus in a vineyard's tender shade. They say the god himself used it that time he turned the spring of Andros into wine. Hephaestus to the plate gave decoration for this great miracle's commemoration, and gave it to Britannia's noble king. Of what then happened I know but one thing, that by and by the vessel passed ere long, it came down to the Isle of Avalon. The mystery of the Holy Grail was this: a single wafer sat upon the dish. The candidates took this as their repast, and so by eventide they'd entered fast. Then plain song chanting echoed through the hall, and glow of candles flickered on the wall, while scent of damask roses filled the place. They put their thoughts on goodness, love, and grace, and kept their vigil on the sacred plate, high beauty's essence there to contemplate. By miracle the Grail would then supply a feast, not for the mouth, but for the eye. And from this moment of communion on, they styled themselves the Knights of Avalon. An English Ode.
That famous field where nodding poppies sway, in sunlit grass where souls of all the good spend sweet eternity in dance and play, and with the gods take beauty as their food. Upon the isle across that sea, by whose dark waters all the world is circled like a castle by a moat, how like must that famed meadow be to English meads where late I've strolled, these fields and lanes, these woods, this very spot? Was it vain pomp or blind naivety that made the folk of ancient Egypt style their image or divine eternity upon their earthly land astride the Nile, where they might hunt in starry creeks beside the starry waterway, or find in starry gardens sweet cool shade? Or likewise made the ancient Greeks use Grecian fields where grasses sway as models for their paradisal glade? But no, let neither supposition stand. I say that it was rather that they paid the greatest compliment to their dear land, when seeing beauty there divine, they said. And so to English summertime a compliment I wish to pay, such as the praise of those old folk will match. The heaven I now form in mind, the isle to which I'll sail one day, has village greens and homes with roofs of thatch. What's Freya's meadow Folkvang after all, where Valkyries take half the great and best, if not the field with rushes growing tall, where Hathor greets arrivals in the west? And what's that place where Arthur dwells, where all of nature's fruitful gifts the generous soil untended freely yields? That apple isle which by their spells 9 sisters shroud in fairy mists, what's Avalon if not the Elysian fields? Did not Osiris, back when time began, in gold sedan sail o'er our pastures green, connecting them while setting out the plan, by resonance with ideal forms unseen? Along a plumb straight line of sight, via Glaston's Tor and Silbury's shrine, from western cape to eastmost point he sails. Could this be why a mystic light on certain evenings seems to shine with golden hue across our British vales?
English Ode Postscript. The Wild Dawn Raver. Down where the paths are overgrown I raved, and there, half swallowed by a gnarled ash tree, I saw an old sepulchre thus engraved: I too once danced in England's Arcady. And as the needles on a yew were stirred, a gentle whispering voice from far away was by my inner ear suddenly heard. This verse the gentle whispering seemed to say: I will not dance, oh no, oh nay, nor ever, within these darling fields any more. For now I play the wild dawn raver, away upon a far, far distant shore. I shuddered with a thrill of holy fear. What lies beyond we cannot know for sure. Let's waste the very least part of the year before we rave upon these fields no more. While realms beyond may hold new kinds of bliss, our focus while in human form is this. The heart of love is in the details. Upon the crypt I see the clue in letters running down. I read, but understanding not, my brow folds in a frown. Before me lies the tangled mess, which seems all disconnected. With loveless sight I see no sense, feel lost, confused, dejected. The ancient words before me lie, inscribed for all of time. When in specifics love hearts found, parts are united, 9. I heed the words and look again, but now I look for love. "Oh, victory!" I cry, and as I do I hear a dove. Its turturs from the thorny hedge my spirits now regale. "Oh heed," it seems to say, my cautionary tale. Strong in the bud. Verdant springtime will spring, for her spring had been sprung in the days before winter was even begun. Nature's strong in the bud, there her lifeblood of green nestles cloaked and protected, it's there but unseen. So the autumn's called intro, where year has its start, then the winter's called breakdown, it pulls things apart. Then the spring is the build-up to anthem sublime, which is wonderful, glorious, sweet summertime. The Tree-Arched Bridleway, Part 1. One sunny morn in May I over local country strayed, then crossed a field and leapt a country stile. And soon I found myself beneath a living green arcade that rambled on for mile on lovely mile. As if in fairy church the meeting boughs performed the function of arches and the pathway served as aisle, whereon could pass the footsteps of an elven congregation along the lane arranged in double file. The beauty of the sunlit scene was such I slowed my pace, then ceased my onward motion for a while. To give myself a chance to see the beauty of the place, I stopped to gaze around and breathe and smile. It struck me that the hedgelands are a nation in a nation, all winding here and there across the isle. Between the fields of monocrop, the bridleway's a haven. Through wheatfield desert runs this British Nile. Tree-Arched Bridleway, Part 2. Epistle to Tobias Thistle. And oh to be, and oh Toby, this ode's for thee, and such. On roads so free, arched o'er by trees, 'tis known to me this much. I'll silent be, with hooves and mane, and oh to be this way, all trotting free along that lane, the tree-arched bridleway. If seasons, time, and temps not yet in this desire comply, I'll dance inside, more temperate, methinks, till then, and why? I'll grace by my imagining this space where I can play. The very air augmented forms the tree-arched bridleway. It's not long now the daffodils with bright and yellow heads are showing through, the first of them shine across the grassy meads, prefiguring how summer's triumph burns away the grey, when I shall be once more a-trotting down that bridleway. As bustle in the hedgerow turns to skipping reels of rhyme, and raggle-taggle harlequin plays hurdy-gurdy in time, we'll all away through new-mown hay to crown the Queen of May, along that verdant corridor, the tree-arched bridleway. Between the serpent-bearer and old Igepan the goat, within the train that follows Bacchus' par-drawn festive float, you'll see the silent archer, when high summertime holds sway, trot up into the night sky on the starry bridleway. The boom-bud pulses in the ears, the vagus nerve excite, inducing liberating trance, releasing sweet delight. Arpeggio, staccato, echo bounce from side to side, exquisite panic urgency, a ladder for the mind. I feel the breeze whose chills bring thrills when rushing through my hair, while trotting on in gladdest glee through tunnels made of air. My fetlocks yield and spring as I the cobbled path essay, and venture to eternity along the bridled way. Toby, these lines emerged while gazing at the urn you gave, upon whose side in vineyard shade the Bacchic silence rave. Farewell for now, yours faithfully forever, Bill the Quill, this 5th of Feb in Bradford on the river 'neath the hill.